Hello and welcome to today's video. Today's video is for Advanced Geometry Chapter 7, Section 5, Proportions in Triangles. So we have a couple theorems that we're going to learn today. The first one is called the side splitter theorem. And this one says if a line is parallel to one side of a triangle and intersects the other two sides, then it divides those sides proportionally. So I'll draw it up here. If we have any triangle and then we make another line that is parallel to the base in this case. So we make these parallel. Then what we can say is that that line splits the sides proportionally. So if we call this, x and y, and I'll call this a and b, then we can say that x over y equals a over b. And that's called the side splitter theorem. We'll prove this one in class, but you can basically use similar triangles. The top triangle is similar to the entire triangle, and then you can use some property of proportions to get it down to x over y equals a over b. Okay, so I'll do that proof in class. So this one is just a simple using the side splitter theorem. So we have parallel lines, double check that you do have parallel lines, and so it's going to split the sides proportionally, so I can do x over 16 equals 5 over 10, cross multiply 10x equals 80, and x equals 8. Done. Okay. Now the next one's a corollary to this theorem, so instead of having a triangle we can actually just have several parallel lines. So if three parallel lines intersect two transversal, then the segments intercepted on the transversal are proportional. So if we kind of take a triangle and you take one of the vertex and you split it up, then and you do the parallel lines parallel to the base, you can end up getting this figure. And what they're saying is that a over b equals c over d. Okay. So you can just call this side splitter theorem and then just put corollary. It's a corollary to the side splitter theorem. So we have a quick example again. Sailmakers sometimes use a computer. So we've got this sail and they want me to find both x and y. And we know that all of the sail, they're right, the edges of the panels in the sail at the right are parallel. So we know that the lines in that figure are parallel. So basically we have several, either side splitter theorem or the side splitter theorem corollary. We can use the top to find x. Now, one thing you can notice is, we can set up a proportion for this one. 2 over x equals 1.7 over 1.7. And we could cross multiply and all that. But the only way that 2 over x equals 1.7 over 1.7 is if x equals 2. And then once we find x equals 2, now we have different ways that we can find y. We can either take that panel in the next one and we can set up a proportion, or we can use the last two. So I'll use the last two. We got 3 over 2 equals y over 1.7. So if we cross multiply, we get 2y equals, let's see, 5.1. And if we divide that, we get y equals 2.55. Okay? And so x is 2 and y is 2.55. So this last one doesn't really go with the other theorems, but it's called the triangle angle bisector theorem. Okay, so this one says that if we take any triangle and we bisect an angle, so suppose I bisect this angle, and I know these are, then it divides the opposite side into two segments, so we'll call this A and B, that are proportioned to the other two sides of the triangle. So if I call this x and y. So you can set this one up in a couple ways. You can either say that, a over b equals x over y. Okay. Based on what it says, this would be the correct proportion to write. It says that the segments are proportional to the sides. A lot of people, though, like to do the side over the piece equals the side over the piece. So you'll also see it x over a equals y over b. and you can get to this by properties of proportions. So you can write it as either way. You'd basically just switch the means and extremes if you wanted to get that one. So that one's called the triangle angle bisector theorem. Okay. And we can do a proof of that one. But right now I'll just show you how it works. So again, for this one, double check. A lot of students mix up the geometric mean and the angle bisector. Okay, kind of looks like this, it's close to a right triangle. You might get confused, but we have an angle, it's bisected, so this is the triangle angle bisector theorem, which means that we can say x over 8 equals 6 over 5. Cross multiply, 5x equals 48, and so x equals 48 over 5. Or we can also write that as 9 3/5. That's it for today. Thank you for watching the video. Have a great day.